Next on Currents News, Iran is releasing video of the missiles they claim brought down a U.S. drone, as President Trump is explaining why he didn't strike back. Pope Francis is in Naples today to promote the benefits of religious unity. A special story about Deacon Art Griffin and how his Project Hope is making a difference, one sandwich at a time. Plus, Bishop DiMarzio will be here to talk about all the major accomplishments the U.S. bishops achieved in their just completed big meeting in Baltimore. The news starts right now. Good evening, I'm Emily Druby. President Trump is explaining why he called off a military strike against Iran. The action planned as a retaliation for the missile attack that knocked a U.S. drone out of the sky. The president stopped the clock with only about 10 minutes to go. Stacey Cohan reports the latest.
As members of Iran's Revolutionary Guard released video Friday of debris they claim is from the U.S. drone shot down Thursday, President Trump explained why he called off a retaliatory military strike that was already in motion.
I thought about it for a second. I said, you know what? They shot down an unmanned drone, plane, whatever you want to call it. And here we are sitting with 150 dead people. I didn't think it was proportionate.
The already tense relationship between Washington and Tehran has been escalating in recent weeks.
Unfortunately, we are heading towards a confrontation, which is very serious for everybody in the region.
Earlier this week, Iran announced it would ramp up enrichment of low-grade uranium and would stockpile more of the material than is allowed under the nuclear deal. Last week, the U.S. said it had video evidence that Iran attacked 2 tankers in the Gulf of Oman.
It is the assessment of the United States government that the Islamic Republic of Iran is responsible for the attacks that occurred in the Gulf of Oman.
Iran denied responsibility for the tanker incidents, but called the drone incident a warning message to the United States. And experts say to expect more of those warnings to come.
Even if there's no strikes in the near future, you could see the Iranians trying to provoke Trump again in the days ahead.
Stacey Cohan, Currents News.
The Iranians are insisting they deliberately shot down the drone because it was flying over their country's airspace. The Pentagon is arguing it was over international waters. Both countries have released satellite coordinates to prove their points. Fred Plankin is in Tehran, where the Iranians are saying the missile attack on the drone was no accident.
The Iranians are saying that this was done absolutely deliberately. The Iranians are saying that they believe that the drone violated their airspace, and that's why they fired their surface-to-air missiles. Now, the Iranians even released a video of those missiles being fired, and if you listen to the voices on that video, it certainly doesn't seem as though those are people who believe that they've just shot down the wrong unmanned aerial vehicle. Now, Iran's foreign minister also getting involved in this as well. He tweeted out almost a play-by-play of the flight of that drone until it was shot down. He says it took off from an airbase in the United Arab Emirates shortly after midnight, and he said that it was flying in stealth mode, which seems to indicate that he believes that it may have turned its transponder off or made in some other way, shape, or form have been masking its identification. He says that it then entered into Iranian airspace and was shot down. Jawad Zarif even giving coordinates of where the drone was shot down. The Iranians are saying the shooting down of the drone was a clear message to the United States that Iran's airspace is a red line. The unit that did this is the Revolutionary Guard Corps, which is the most elite unit of Iran's military. The head of the Revolutionary Guard Corps coming out and saying Iran does not want a war with the United States, but also that Iran is very much prepared in case a war happens.
That's Fred Plankin with the latest from Tehran. The crisis is impacting civilian airlines worldwide. The FAA is banning American carriers from flying through the airspace around the flashpoint of the Gulf of Hormuz. Several other international airlines are following suit. The FAA is saying a commercial plane was not far from the drone when it was shot down. Immigration agents are reportedly ready for raids in New York and 9 other U.S. cities starting this Sunday. The action will come on the heels of President Trump's warning of mass deportations that he tweeted earlier this week. ICE is said to be targeting families with court-ordered removals. They'll be arrested and deported. In February, ICE sent about 2,000 letters to those families telling them to comply with the court orders. In another big development, lawmakers in Albany are eliminating criminal penalties for the public use of marijuana. Governor Andrew Cuomo is signing the new law, which he says he supported for years. Unlawful possession will become a violation with a fine similar to a parking ticket. The legislature will pick up the push to legalize the recreational use of the drug next year. Earlier today, Brooklyn's Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio said making marijuana legal is not a good idea.
I think it's the wrong approach. I've already come out with an article clearly stating the health hazards of marijuana, which came from the study they did in Colorado before they legalized it. The health department there was very clear. Did a lot of research, 400-page study, saying this is not good for health, especially for young people.
The bishop's article on the dangers of marijuana is available to read at the Tablet's website, thetablet.org. The last abortion clinic in Missouri lost its license this morning, but a St. Louis judge is keeping it open. The state health department yanked the permit for the Planned Parenthood facility to operate, citing patient safety concerns. At the same time, Judge Michael Seltzer is ruling the abortion center will remain open until he makes a final decision. He promises to do that as soon as possible. A Jesuit school in Indianapolis is being stripped of its Catholic label by the Archdiocese. Brabuff Prep School refused to fire a teacher who is gay and in a same-sex marriage. This morning, Archbishop Charles Thompson decreed the school is losing its Catholic affiliation because teachers must support all Catholic Church teachings, including those about the sacrament of matrimony between a man and a woman. Pope Francis spending today in Naples, taking on one of the main planks of his pontificate, religious unity. The Holy Father also making the point that bringing different peoples and religions together can lead to better coexistence of cultures. Mattia Soor reports.
Pope Francis spoke on how the renewal of the study of theology can help society become a meeting place for the acceptance and coexistence of different cultures.
Sogno facoltà teologiche dove si viva la convivialità delle differenze, dove si pratichi una teologia del dialogo e dell'accoglienza, dove si sperimenti il modello del poliedro del sapere teologico.
In addition, he mentioned that theologians should not be indifferent to the adversities faced by humanity.
Senza comunione e senza compassione, costantemente alimentate dalla preghiera, questo è importante, soltanto si può fare teologia in ginocchio. La teologia non solo perde l'anima, ma perde l'intelligenza e la capacità di interpretare cristianamente la realtà.
The Pope also defended theological freedom in universities.
Fra gli studiosi, andare avanti con libertà. Poi, in ultima istanza, sarà il Magistero a dirvi qualche cosa. Non si può fare una teologia senza quella libertà. Ma nella predicazione al popolo di Dio, per favore non ferire la fede del popolo di Dio con questioni disputate. Le questioni disputate soltanto fra i teologi. È il vostro compito.
Before leaving, the Pope gave them a blessing. The cardinal of Naples said goodbye with a farewell in the Neapolitan dialect.
Santo Padre, grazie e a Maronna da compagni.
Mattia Soor also reports that after spending several hours in Naples, the Holy Father headed home to the Vatican. New mass protests today in Hong Kong condemning a bill that would allow China to extradite people from the territory back to the mainland. Hong Kong's Cardinal John Tong is urging the controversial measure be scrapped altogether. Right now, consideration of the bill is suspended. Early this morning, the demonstrators threw eggs at officers guarding police headquarters. The presidents of Mexico and El Salvador patrol the border with Central America. The leaders meeting in Mexico to make a new deal for the development of Central America. The agreement is intended to stem the flood of migrants who are streaming into Mexico on their way to the southern border of the United States. There's a lot more news headed your way. The heartwarming story of Project Hope and how a Catholic deacon is helping migrant day laborers and others who need a meal to eat. The faith rising from the ashes at St. Pius the Tenth Parish in Queens. Bishop DiMarzio is moments away. He's going to discuss the accomplishments of the U.S. bishops at their big Baltimore meeting.
Look at the homeless, working with them, giving the word out to our assembly people that if you find anybody homeless, give us a call.
That's Deacon Art Griffin of Project Hope, who's dedicated much of his life to helping people. Every week for many years, the deacon and a dedicated group of Catholic volunteers have carefully packed dozens of lunch bags and hit the streets to feed those in need. Currents News' Tamara Lane has the story of their work.
We got water and some sandwiches.
Every Tuesday, he greets them with a smile and a brown bagged lunch. At nearly 78 years old, Deacon Art Griffin has dedicated over 20 years to helping homeless men and women, and now migrant day laborers.
I've been doing work with the homeless since 1995.
Deacon Art is the founder of Project Hope, which stands for Help Our People Eat, and that is exactly what they do. Every Tuesday, bringing dozens of sandwiches to people on the street.
It takes the average of 40 a week, and you get 50 weeks. That's what, 2,000? Then you do that for 10 years. So that's 20,000 at least, 20,000 sandwiches.
We joined Deacon Art for a ride-along to see the impact firsthand, gathering at Transfiguration Church in Queens before loading up his car and hitting the streets. A look out the car window highlights the crisis this humble organization faces, with an estimated 62,000 homeless in New York City and 10,000 undocumented day laborers.
Now I see familiar faces.
Frank Griebel has been by Deacon Art's side since Project Hope's inception 11 years ago. The program, an offshoot of Deacon Art's previous outreach, which was defunded by the city in 2007.
So we used to get people with heroin and addicts and take them to hospitals. We don't really get that now. We just get more what you see right now, the feeding and conversation, and if you need any help, we'll try to help you.
And it depends on the weather. For example, it's summertime, so they get water. In the wintertime, we take out soup.
Frank is one of the handful of volunteers that make Project Hope possible. Just a short drive away in the basement of St. Stanislav Kostka, Frank's wife Maureen and 4 others gather.
So this is 25.
Breaking bread together every Monday, preparing the sandwiches for delivery.
It feels good to help someone.
Packing each bag with care, hoping it has an impact.
Okay today? Everybody all right?
Back on the street, Deacon Art hands out sandwich after sandwich to thankful hands. And though his mission hasn't changed, the people he serves has. The majority are now undocumented day laborers.
Hola, ¿cómo está? Me llamo Tamara.
Señora. Manuel, who asked we not use his last name, waits on this corner near Queens Boulevard every day for work.
Very difficult for the chance for the job. Cuando no hay trabajo, a veces pasamos así, hambre.
He came to America to escape Ecuador's failing economy and violence, and like so many others, in search of a better life. Manny Castro, executive director of New Immigrant Community Empowerment, says they have seen an increase in day laborers because of the city's construction boom and sanctuary city status.
There is a lot of fear, there is a lot of concern amongst the immigrant community about what's coming next and what they might experience at their work site. There is an increase in anti-immigrant sentiment.
Coming from the Diocese of Immigrants, Deacon Art helps everyone, no matter when they arrived in the country.
There have been offering their service to us for years, and I respect that so much.
A service that this worker, who asked to be called John, says is indispensable when work dries up.
We don't get work and we don't have any cash or anything, so they really help a lot.
And the need is never ending.
One more? He wants one more. Thank you. Good to see you. Project Hope is a beacon of light in turbulent times to many on the street, bringing hope to anyone that needs it, one sandwich at a time. Tamara Lane, Flushing, Queens, Currents News.
A parish in the Brooklyn Diocese is showing strength and resilience after losing their church to a devastating fire. St. Pius the Tenth in Rosedale, Queens, gutted after the 2-alarm blaze ripped through it last Sunday. The inside was destroyed and cannot be used, but the dedicated congregation is refusing to let that affect their faith. They will still be celebrating Mass throughout the day this Sunday. Right now, the Masses are scheduled to take place at the school next door starting at 9 a.m. I'll be there and I'll have a report on Monday's Currents News. The U.S. Bishops' important spring meeting took place days ago in Baltimore. They addressed several major topics, including accountability for themselves and the best ways to protect minors. One of the top Catholic leaders attending, Brooklyn's Bishop Nicholas DiMarzio. He talks about what happened with Ed Wilkinson. Ed?
Thank you, Emily. And tonight we're going to talk with Bishop DiMarzio about the recent bishops' meeting in Baltimore. Bishop, some unfinished business that was held over from the last meeting of the bishops. Vatican kind of held you up a little bit. Did you take care of all the unfinished business?
Yes, actually, they were able to vote everything in. Again, we were waiting for the Holy Father's meeting in January, February, actually, where he called all the heads of the bishops' conference together and then issued this document, You Are the Light of the World. And from that, then we took our cues for the things that the Holy Father wanted. Basically kind of a way to report, which was easy, public way, and then also some of the other restrictions on bishops who have been found guilty of what they can do, what they can't do, but also ways of assuring accountability in the diocese. So there was a really productive meeting.
Yeah, almost the whole meeting was devoted to the sex abuse crisis, right?
Well, you know, I'd say 3/4 of it. There was other things we did, but
now,
that
some
was
of the things
3/4.
that you voted for, I mean, they seemed, you know, like we voted to agree on this and agree on that. One of the things you agreed on was that about policing bishops themselves. If people think that the bishops mishandled the case in the past, or now there's going to be a hotline in place.
Yeah, there'll be a hotline in place where people can bring these complaints. Hopefully, they're focused on sex abuse and not for any other thing. That was one of the questions people had, you know, because people complain all the time. I mean, I get lots of complaint letters all the time about the bishop, myself, about the things I didn't do or didn't do correctly. So people aren't afraid to complain, but this is only for serious things than sex abuse.
How is that going to work? Is that going to be a national hotline?
Yeah, they haven't worked out the details. It's supposed to be a national hotline, something like a ethics point call-in, where that's much industry uses that today. There's some difficulties with it because it's national. Every place is different, and handling these things is a very tacky situation. Who answers the phone? Do they understand what's being said? So, and everything has to be reported to law enforcement. It's not a question of policing ourselves. It's a question of having a way that things can be reported, so nobody can say, well, I didn't know how to do it, nobody listened to me, etc. This again gives transparency and openness.
One of the things that people talked about beforehand was that the laity should have a part in the process. And the bishops voted to encourage that, but it didn't mandate having lay people involved in the process of policing bishops, so to speak. What do you think of that?
Well, in effect, once that the metropolitan system was set up, that the metropolitan is supposed to deal with it, no way can he do this all with priests. It has to be laity involved. Already in the panels we have set up, the review board, they're all lay people. The majority lay people, only one priest is on there. So it's going to involve lay people. I don't know what the hesitation was saying that it should, because actually it is. You need people with expertise in law enforcement understanding the issues. So it's lay people that will be involved.
Yeah, one of the things you also agreed on is that there should be a zero-tolerance policy in the United States.
Well, there is. It's a big, difficult one because the Holy Father doesn't agree with that. He wants the proportionality.
So what does that mean, zero tolerance?
Well, zero tolerance means for any act that's an infraction against the Sixth Commandment, a priest can lose his ministry for life.
One strike and you're out. That's basically
right. That's right.
Are there any other things that the Holy Father wanted that the bishops implemented?
No, I think everything that was suggested, we actually were way ahead of some of the nations that we've dealt with this for a long time now. So we had good policies in place and little tweaking here and there. That's all was necessary. The charter probably in another year or so has to be looked at to make sure that it can stand up for the needs of today.
Okay, Bishop, thanks for filling us in
You're
on
welcome.
that. And Emily, we're going back to you at the news desk.
Thank you, Ed. And Bishop DiMarzio is still to come on Currents News, a wonderful gift to mark a cardinal's birthday. There was an unexpected visitor at Mass in a Brazilian Catholic church. We'll show you how the priest handled the situation. And the tablet has a brand new page called Our Diocesan Family, where you can share your pictures of recent baptisms, Holy Communions, confirmations, marriage, all of the joyous sacraments. For more details and to submit your photos, go to thetablet.org/ourdiocesanfamily. Your picture may be published in an upcoming issue of the newspaper. We'll be right back. The Archdiocese of Manila gave the gift of life for Cardinal Luis Tagla's birthday. The annual blood drive, which is in partnership with the Philippine Red Cross, is done by diocesan workers and is in celebration of the Cardinal's birthday, which is today. Workers also greeted the now 62-year-old at the residence of the Archbishop, singing Seasons of Love and giving him a cake and a balloon. On the 25th anniversary of diplomatic ties between the Vatican and Israel, New York's Cardinal Timothy Dolan is hailing the historic occasion, saying it, quote, quite literally made the world a better place. The Cardinal also said Pope John Paul II's passion to pursue diplomatic ties were a masterstroke of his papacy. Cardinal Dolan is marking today's beginning of summer with a special message to teachers, parents, and kids ahead of the last week of school. His Eminence praising the greatness of a Catholic education.
Some people call them a miracle, and they are. How we can do what we do better than anybody else with the little resources that we got, it's got to be the grace and mercy of Jesus, who told us as his last words on earth, go teach all nations. I don't know how we've done that better than our Catholic schools.
Diocese of Brooklyn schools will start their summer break by the end of this month. A Vatican official is praising the Catholic news media for their coverage of the sex abuse crisis. Speaking at a Catholic media conference in Florida, Monsignor John Kennedy, who heads the department that reviews abuse allegations, gave the Catholic media high marks for reporting information people need to know in order to better protect minors. That same conference also honored the great achievements of the Catholic media with the Gabriel Awards. The Gabriels recognize excellence in mass communications. The top prize for the nation's best television station, we are proud to tell you, was awarded to Net TV. Also, special congratulations to our two great colleagues, Ed Wilkinson and Jorge Dominguez. Their programs On the Block and Al Pan Pan won big awards. And the Net TV documentary Ring of Faith also captured a Gabriel. A howling good time at a Catholic church in Brazil after an unexpected visitor crashed Mass. This pup walked in from outside and joined the main celebrant in the sanctuary, but instead of shooing the dog away, Father Jose Geraldo Sobriera embraced the moment, continuing service with the playful pup at his feet. It's still unclear where the dog came from, but many online are calling it divine intervention. That is Currents News. I'm Emily Druby. Thank you for joining us because we are putting your faith in the news. Hope to see you again next time.